This is going to be fun.
Hi Dad! Of course, November means non-fiction November. I do have, of course, a TBR that is way too big. Hi, I'm Milena. Welcome back to my channel. You have to excuse me, I still have a little bit of a sore throat, so I have my Clarice Lispector mug with my tea to help me through this video. But since it is almost November, it is time to do my November TBR. Of course, I'm going to do it with the TBR board. I didn't do the TBR board last month because I needed a little bit of a break, and honestly, I didn't love it, even though it did feel like a break because I could mood read. Mood reading was really quite stressful for me, and I'm currently reading 3 books that I probably won't finish in October. So I'm quite excited to have a monthly TBR again and to not stare at my bookshelves thinking that I need to read all of those in this month. Of course, November means non-fiction November, and I do have a few books I wanna read possibly for November. I did discuss them in my end of the year book tag, so I hope I can get at least 1 or 2 of those in. One non-fiction book I will definitely read is his essay collection by Angela Y. Davis, which was a gift from Sarah from Sarah's Perusal, so thank you so much, Sarah. We're going to read this with the Dutch Classics Book Club, so I hope I can fit this into my TBR because non-fiction is definitely a genre I read slower, so I hope I can fit it into the TBR and that I won't have 7 books in November because I will definitely not finish those if a lot of those are non-fiction. There's also Believe-a-thon, which is a middle grade readathon in November hosted by Gavin from How to Train Your Gavin. If I'm going to join in on that, I have made a list of a few audiobooks middle grades that are very wintry and fun, and I might read to if I have some time within my TBR, but my TBR game isn't really made to fit in middle grade, so I don't think that's going to be possible, but I might do that a little bit spontaneously. I will leave the information to all the readathons I always mention in the description down below if it sounds like fun and something like you want to do. So because I didn't have an October TBR, there aren't any punishments. I also didn't really finish my entire September TBR, but I had some personal things going on, so I'm not going to count all of that. We're going to start clean this month. With all of that said, have I said everything? I think I said everything. We're going to do the very first rule.
Okay, so last time we ended on modern classic, so let's just throw for the first time. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, this is pick a card. That big. Okay, I will have to ask my dad to pick a book for me.
So the very first rule was that big, and I'll call my dad in a little bit and I'll insert a clip of that phone call. But I'm going to ask him to choose between 2 non-fiction books that he gifted me. These are 2, I don't want to say biographies, but they are non-fiction writings about Virginia Woolf and Jane Austen, and both of these books kind of explore the relationship between the author and their work. Love to read both of these, but I definitely want to read one of these 2, so I'm going to have my dad choose one of these books for me. Hi Dad! I wanted to pick 2 books for non-fiction November, so I got 2 non-fiction books that you gifted me. So I got the Jane Austen one, which I think was a Christmas present. Yeah. And I have the Virginia Woolf one.
Oh ja. Ja, jeetje, writers. Wat is de ondertitel ook weer?
Writer's Life is this one, and this one is Jane Austen, The Secret Radical. He hung up on me. Oh, my brother was calling him. Okay. Did Bram call you?
Ja.
Do you know which one you want me to read of these 2?
Ja, ik denk dat ik die Jane Austen wel interessant vind.
Ja.
Het is wat geheimzinniger en radical. Dus dat is wel mooi.
Yeah, I think so. It's also the thinner one, so thank you.
Oh, ja, die is anders hele kleine letter.
Yeah. Okay, well, thanks for picking for me, Dad.
Oké, nou, veel succes en ik hoor het wel.
Ja.
Oké,
Doeg!
Okay, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is a classic before 1900.
Rule number 2 was a really easy one, which was a book before 1900. I'm not entirely sure which one I will read for this prompt because I am currently reading this one, Harriet Jacobs, Incidents in the Life of a Slave Girl, written by herself. I have started this, I've read the introduction, the preface, notes on the text, things like that. Really fascinated by this one, but I'm not sure if I'm going to finish this before November starts. If I don't, then this one will be the one for the second prompt. If I do finish it, which Maybe, I don't know. Then I want to read The Mail on the Floss by George Eliot. This is a big book and that's why I'm not going to put it on my TBR definitely, because if I still need to take this one into November, it's going to be a bit much to also read this one. This is, I think, George Eliot's first novel or an earlier work, and it's a novel of grand passions and tormented lives. As rebellious Maggie's very spirit and imaginative nature bring her into bitter conflict with her narrow provincial family, most painfully with her beloved brother Tom, their fates are played out on an epic scale. I know this is like a coming of age story about quite a rebellious girl, and even though it is really thick, which kind of intimidates me, I am excited to read this. We'll see if November is going to be the month.
Roll number 3. Oh my god. It was a 3. We're going to count it. It was a 3, but afterwards it was still a 3, okay. 1, 2, 3. Another pick a card. Backlist from favorite author. Oh, this is going to be fun.
Roll number 3 was a TBR card, which was this one. Backlist from favorite author, which is not at all hard for me. If you've been following me for a while, you probably know that I have 3 authors whose backlist I want to read, which is Virginia Woolf, Toni Morrison and Jane Austen. I have most recently read a Virginia Woolf and a Jane Austen, so it's time for another Toni Morrison. And I'm going to read Sula by Toni Morrison, which is the story of 2 women called Nell and Sula, and they shared each other's secrets and dreams until they get separated, and I think later on they meet again. It's quite a short novel. I think it's also an historical fiction, but I'm not entirely sure. It was written in the 70s. I'm saying things that I'm not sure about. Yes, it was written in 1973, and I think 19th century. Yes, I think it is an historical fiction. I'm not 100% sure. I will Google it and I'll leave it down here if I'm wrong. But I think it's historical fiction, just like Beloved. I think just like most of Toni Morrison's work. But it was written in the 70s, and I'm really excited to read this.
Okay, roll number 4. Another 3. 1, 2, 3. A modern classic.
Roll number 4 was a modern classic, and I might stretch this a little bit, but I'm going to place the essay collection for this prompt mainly because Penguin calls it a modern classic. It's in the modern classic edition, so I'm going to count this. I really don't know a lot about the author. On the back it says, Black women were equal to their men in the oppression they suffered. They were their men's social equals within the slave community, and they resisted slavery with a passion equal to their men's. I have quite high expectations for these essays. I think they will be incredibly interesting. I'm especially looking forward to the discussions about feminism and how feminism should be inclusive. I think she wrote a lot about that, so I'm really looking forward to this one.
Okay, roll number 5. 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh my god, the very last style. It's another big card. Disability wrap.
Prompt number 5 was a TBR card, which was, let's see, disability wrap. Okay, oh come on. Yeah, it was disability wrap. For this one I'm going to pick a non-fiction book, and I'm picking the Dutch translation of What Would Frida Do by Ariana Davis. This was a gift from my lovely friend Puck, who works in a bookstore, and when this one came out in a Dutch translation, she wanted to gift it to me, which is just so lovely. I think the original is in English, which is of course the title, What Would Frida Do? But I know that Frida suffered from chronic pain, so I don't know if that is going to be a part of the book. I hope so, because I think if you're going to give advice of how to be brave like someone, their chronic illness and disability needs to be a part of that, because it is such a big part of how you act and of how you resolve things, speaking as someone who is chronically ill herself. So I hope it will be a part of this book. I'm not going to be incredibly disappointed if it's not, because I think Frida as a person is just fascinating, and I want to read about her in whatever shape or form. I did hear good things about this from other booktubers as well, so I'm excited to read this one, and hopefully it will actually have the disability wrap. I hope that it does.
Because I finished, I can now swap to the very beginning, and I can pick an edition, a pretty edition of one of my favorite books, because that is a rule I made on your recommendation after playing the first round of TBR Board. Okay, so for the very last row, we're having a 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, a modern classic with a TBR card. Pick from other person shelves.
The last prompt did go a bit wrong because I ended the TBR board, started over again, but instead of starting with start, I started on the first tile. So instead of the TBR card I picked, which was a very fun TBR card, I need to go one back, and it means that I have to pick another book before 1900. Also, I get to pick a pretty edition from a favorite book. I have my eye on a very beautiful hardcover with sprayed black edges of Beloved. So I think that's one I will get. If it is the one I'm going for, I will show you that book in a December TBR game. But for now, let's pick a book before 1900. This is a book I actually wanted to read this month, but of course I didn't get to it. I was just staring at it. And that is First Love by Ivan Turgenev. This is a short novella about a romance, about a love story. I think it is making its round on BookTube and everyone seems to love it. I wanna join in on the hype. If I'm going to read the George Eliot as well, I'm going to need a shorter book from that time period to survive this TBR. This one is, I think, it's 100 and... I don't want to see any spoilers. 108 pages, so that should be very doable. I do have, of course, a TBR that is way too big because I have at least 3 or maybe 4 non-fictions in here. I have some older works which just take me a lot of time. I think if I can find audiobooks of the non-fictions, I might be able to do this. But this is my TBR so far, which is... Oh my gosh, okay. This is not going well. Such a mess. This is my TBR, which of course I will either read this one or this one, depending on what my dad picks. I of course will only have 6 books, so it's not that insane. But most of these I will read. I'm going to try to make some reading vlogs again, but I might just do some currently reading updates, things like that. I will do a wrap up about all the books I read in October because of course I semi-joined Victober because Victober is my favorite readathon of the year. So I had to. They made a few prompts, but I've read for the 3 prompts that all the hosts made. So that will probably be the first video that will go up after this one. So if you want to know what I read for Victober, and I also read some spooky things, then don't forget to subscribe and watch that video when it comes. Almost forgot. I want to thank you guys for 1,000 subscribers. It's so cool. Thank you so much if you are here, if you're watching, if you've subscribed. Leave me any pink emoji if you're subscribed to my channel and if you're part of the 1,000 people that are. Mind-blowing to me. I'm so grateful. I'm going to do a 1K Q&A. I think I will post a community tab where you can comment your questions for that Q&A tonight, I think. So head over to your community tab post thing and leave me a question so I can film a 1Q Q&A. So I can film a 1K Q&A. For now, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely, lovely day and I hope to see you in my next video. Doei!